Hello, my name is Danny Cook, and welcome back to a long-awaited reunion special of TFF Talks.
It's back.
As you can see, it's back, as Alex has said, it's back, and we are in video form today. And you can see the panelists all around you. We've got Alex Crowther, our mastermind. How are you, Alex?
I'm very well, Danny. It's been a long time coming, isn't it? Lots of change in the last 3 years, I think.
Yep, lots of change that we'll come on to. Yep, certainly. We've got Josh Keeble-Wells.
Good evening.
Good evening. You okay, Josh?
Yeah, I'm all well, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, all good. And we've got Max down the bottom.
Hey, it's good to do this, Danny. It feels like been such a long time, and my voice has probably changed a lot since then as well. Maybe not my face, but
just the money.
Yeah, just the fame.
Cheers, Mitre.
And completing our panel for the time being, we have Liam Drury. Liam, you okay?
Yes, I'm Danny. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. We'd love to see you. But your camera's not on, which is disappointing. Very, very
controversial.
It's controversial. But anyway, as we say, chaps, it's been a very long time since we did the last one. Josh, I believe you had a look. You digged around on our YouTube channel. Remind us again, when was the last time?
Like 2.5 years ago. Long time.
So it was about
really long time ago.
2018, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Ages. So much has changed in our world since then. So let's kick things off. Let's talk about what's been happening in terms of you and what you've experienced over the last 2 years. A bit of an informal chit chat first, and then we'll come on to the football stuff, the exciting stuff a little bit later on. So, Alex, should we start with you? Start from the top, work our way down?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm at university now. So when I started the blog, I was in year 10 of secondary school, I think. And now at university, third year in Bristol at UE, studying broadcast journalism. So it's just kind of very strange. I think I'm the same age now, Danny, as when we first met, I think. When you started working for the blog. So it's kind of weird. It's done a bit of a full circle now. But yeah, studying at uni, still working for Western Football Club, heading up their comms and media, which is, still a fantastic experience for me, even at 20. So it's just very kind of strange to be back doing this, but what a great thing to get us all back together and see how things have changed over the last sort of 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, certainly, and it was kind of your persistence in terms of trying to put this together. It was something we spoke about, I think, in lockdown 1. So it's taken lockdown 2 to finally get the ball rolling. But a lot's obviously changed. How are you finding uni and uni life?
Yeah, I mean, so much different to what we thought it would be because of COVID. Obviously, it's kind of very, very strange, but really enjoying the course. So it's definitely kind of up my street in terms of kind of TV production, radio production. But again, so many of those skills I probably first picked up doing the blog 3-4 years ago. I'd say at least over 50%. And I'm sure Josh can maybe vouch for me as well, doing his uni course. A lot of the things we were doing when we were kind of in year 10 of secondary school, things we're actually learning now in university. So it kind of, put us in such good stead, I think, for what we were having to kind of face now. And I want to say a little bit what a good time it was doing the football blog. It was such good people we met off the back of that. So we couldn't be on the podcast tonight. Podcast. So that really was a good time, I think, in all of our lives, and I think it's good to reconnect and do it all over again, I think.
Yeah, exactly, and something we're speaking a little bit off there, potentially trying to get a few more in from time to time as well.
Got to get SA back, David.
Get all the legends. Well, exactly, we're gonna have to find them. I'm sure I can grab Harry as well.
Is he here?
I'm living with Harry. Yeah, I live with Harry. So I live with Harry, and I've got one other flatmate as well. So,
get him involved.
All the legends. I know, Liam, you'd love Harry to come on, wouldn't you, Liam?
Yeah, everyone else dies.
Exactly.
He sounds very sure. He sounds very sure.
Alex, just quickly, and this will tie in with Liam as well. Western, how's things going there in terms of obviously COVID? You know, your working schedule with Western. How's that working out?
It's very interesting. I mean, the season had started again. My series just gone off. Oh, now it's gone off again. So this show is professional as ever. It's definitely got better in the last 2 to 3 years. Yeah, I mean, we started playing games. Obviously, because of lockdown 2, we've had to stop. And as we record this, we're still kind of waiting to figure out what the deal is now, because Bristol and North Somerset, where Western is going back into Tier 3. So it definitely leaves. It's very unsure what's going to happen next. But I've been in that job now. This is going into my 3rd season. Liam was there before me. And you know, it's such a fantastic job to do. Fantastic fans, fantastic players, and it really is a dream job for someone of my age to kind of get involved with such a fantastic football club. So we're just all getting our fingers crossed. I hope we can kind of get fans back in and start watching some football sort of as soon as possible.
Brilliant stuff. Let's bring in Liam then. Liam, let's hear your side in terms of Western. How's things going with that, and away from football as well? What's going on in your life?
I'll start with what's been going on in my life.
Sure.
Since last spoke, 2018, I sort of like graduate. I finished college. I did sports journalism diploma at college. I got a distinction, like equivalent to 3 A stars at A level.
Oh wow!
For that, yeah. Then I've just worked for Western really since then, doing part-time stuff. October 2019, I joined this Football League website, which is full-time, called Football League World. You might have heard of it.
Yeah.
I was there for 5 months as a writer. Really enjoying it now. I left in February this year, just for COVID. So I've been unemployed since then, really.
And it's good to see that Liam's upgraded his audio software since last time we filmed. The money we're paying him at the football club, he's really investing that back into his equipment. So, you know, good work, Liam. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, you know, obviously, you said you're unfortunately unemployed at the moment, or you're out of work. What, you know, how are you finding that? And are you trying to find other jobs to do?
Yeah, I'm always looking. I think the important thing is to try and look, but as someone keeps saying to me, it's always important to keep looking, and apparently it's always easier to find work if you're in work. So, and I think I'm finding that at the moment, I'd say.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And are you looking for similar kind of roles, like in sports journalism?
Yes. Yeah, I think similar kinds of roles where I'm writing about football would be the dream job. Obviously, for me, that's like my dream. But yeah, unfortunately, a bit on the ground at the moment with COVID and everything.
Yeah, I understand. Our fingers are crossed anyway, Liam. Our fingers are crossed. Let's move on to Josh. Josh, you are probably about 300 metres away from me. 400 metres away from me.
Of course.
Yeah. So this is really weird. I can actually see, I think, part of your building from my room, which is quite odd.
It's also a bit creepy when you think about it.
Yeah, it is considering, you know, how when we first started we were so far apart, distance, geographically.
Yeah, I know.
And,
it's like a love story.
We've ended up in the same place. Yeah, what's going on?
Hugh Grant's going to pop up a bit later.
So, Josh, tell us about UCFB and how uni is for you there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when I first started doing this, I was same age as Alex. I was 15. That seems like a long time ago now. Yeah, at uni now in final year, same as Alex, studying multimedia sports journalism. Obviously, it's been really affected by what's going on, but still going into Wembley Stadium, attending lectures, just plugging away. Really, everyone's in the same boat. It's not nice, but we've just got to get through it, haven't we? Whether we do get through it sometime soon or not is to be seen, but it's just getting through it and keeping up with your day-to-day life and keeping busy, I think.
Yeah, and have you got to do a dissertation?
Unfortunately, yes.
What are you thinking of doing now?
I'm doing it on ladies football, which is going to be good because I've got quite a lot of contacts in that sort of field, so that will help massively. It's just the effort of doing it, though, isn't it? It's not a nice thought. Not a nice thought.
Yeah. And actually, I'm just going to cut back to Alex quickly on that as well. Alex, have you got to do a dissertation at all?
I'm quite lucky where we have to do a final year project, so it's a dissertation of sorts. It serves the same purpose as a dissertation, but we just put together a 10-minute kind of documentary style thing. So I'm kind of putting some ideas around for that now. So I think I've managed to skirt around the actual writing part, which for me is quite good.
Yeah, you're lucky.
Yeah, I know, very.
So, Josh, in terms of coming up to Wembley and this area, how have you found it? And going back to sort of the uni side of things, what would you say has been the best experience that you've had? Like, have you had the opportunity to go to any clubs or attend any good guest speakers?
Going to uni Wembley has been brilliant. Obviously, the uni sells itself because it's at Wembley Stadium. So, I mean, I know it's cliche, but it's the home of football, isn't it? It's Wembley. So, it's the dream being there. Wembley's a nice area. I get to occasionally bump into yourself, Danny, in the Torch pub in Wembley. Other public houses are available.
They may not be open, but yeah.
They may not be open, but if you queue for long enough. Yeah, no, it's been good. First year, I think anyone that goes to Alex will tell you, first year's a party.
Oh no!
We're
losing Josh.
You're sort of. Can you hear me?
Just about.
This is a great advert for the housing you're in, Josh. It's a good advert for all those budding sport journalists out there. About a really
do
good
not trust Granville House's Wi-Fi.
It's the place to go.
Have you got me strong enough now, or is it still?
Yeah. We got you. Yeah.
Whereabouts was I when you started losing me?
Oh, it's cut out then. Sorry.
Whereabouts was I when you started losing me?
It's a good question. You was at. Oh dear. You was at. Can anyone help me here?
You said how great it was to see Danny every day. That was the gist.
Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah.
Pick up from there.
Like first year's a party, second year's still a little bit of a party, but it's a bit more serious, and then third year hits you in the face, which is obviously where I'm at now. I've had the opportunity to go to some great clubs and work. So second year, I spent the whole season with Bromley Football Club, as we just failed to get out of the National League. A brilliant season on and off the pitch. Superb experience to pick up, and in fairness, I want to do the same sort of job as what Alex is doing. So really good experience for me. This year I'm with Boreham Wood, which I've been given a lot more responsibility, so it's brilliant. I'm learning so much, and like Alex said, some of the stuff you're doing, if you look back to the time when you was 15 doing it, I'm doing the same thing, but this time I'm doing it for a name rather than a blog. Do you know what I mean? It's literally the same thing. But yeah, the experience has been brilliant. I've had the opportunity to go to places like Daily Mirror, and it's been really, 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 really good, and a lot of progress has been made. So yeah, no, I look back at the last 5 years, and yeah, it's happy memories.
Yeah, it certainly is. And one of my standout moments, and obviously I'm going to ask you guys as well, but one of my standout moments is obviously the deadline days that we did, and the amount of lessons that I picked up from that in terms of things going wrong, having to fill time. You just can't learn that from a book or anything like that. And I think, this has been a great experience. And it certainly helped my time when I was at UCFB as well. So, lots of
I did have a little look back, Danny, through the YouTube the other day. And I think one of those live streams it said 7 hours long. Is that a bug, or was that you did
No,
7 hours long?
Well, I think that was probably nearer the early days of TFF. as in early days when I was there. I think we was doing a full day, pretty much transfer deadline day. And yeah, it was like 7 hours. Yeah, that's not wrong. That's not a bug.
Danny, you just kept the company going, mate. Really?
I sent them all to sleep.
Well, whilst Alex was asleep sunbathing, you were working hard doing 7-hour live.
That's the art of delegation, Max. That's one for your lesson book, mate. It's the art of delegation.
It's all right for the men at the top.
Yeah,
exactly.
With the money, then you can't do that.
Whilst we were making, all those live streams and writing
sweet content, and he's rolling in the peas.
Well, let's bring him in. Let's bring in Max. Obviously, I was going to cue you in because of the live streams, because of all those experiences as well, and the deadline days over the years as well. Max, reflecting on your sort of past 2-3 years almost, I'm sure you've had some exciting updates for us.
Yeah. It's gone really quick, to be honest. It doesn't feel like a minute ago since I was doing little articles for TFF. Doing the TFF talks with you, Danny, Josh, and Alex, and everybody else that was with us on those. Pretty sure we used to. Was it Monday night, 8 o'clock? Used to do
something like that. Yeah.
There we go.
Simpler times.
Well, we just used to have the laughs, didn't we? We just used to have people cooking in the background. We used to have people reading a book, technical difficulties, people out on it. The list goes on. But it's interesting that you say, Danny, in terms of learning how to fill time and everything in, because I think definitely, as well as doing my YouTube stuff on the side, is when I used to sometimes fill in and cover for you sometimes, Danny, and present the TFF Talks stuff. Was that it was always just another bit of experience, another bit of a learning curve, I guess you could say, for me, that led on to much better things, and from TFF to then a YouTube channel, and then from a YouTube channel to like kind of a bit of sponsored work, and then from sponsored work to working for the BBC for a short while, and then also now for working with Mitre and being kept on for another season with them. It's gone from strength to strength with me, really. That's not to say that COVID hasn't affected it at all, or it massively has, because I think I'd be doing a lot more in terms of still working for the BBC now if it wasn't for COVID. But like Josh said, you've just got to get on with life. You just have to kind of step back and sometimes think, yeah, well, we're all in the same situation. You can only get through it, so you just continue with your daily life. For example, like last year, I was looking back at some kind of old memories and old photos and thinking, oh God, yeah, I can remember when I did that, and I was filming an episode for the BBC, or I was going for a tour around. I was thinking, that I suppose that was when everything was kind of at its high, and not that things are at its low now, but things have kind of just come down a little bit. But it doesn't mean 2 steps backwards. I hope that I'll be able to kind of overcome this, and I'm sure I will. I'm sure I will. Hopefully, if things get better in the next few months, which fingers crossed they will, that more opportunities will come about. And I mean, I can't complain, really. I've had plenty more opportunities than so many other people have, and especially kids my age as well, that would have probably never dreamt of the things that I've got to do as well, really. Things like covering the FA Cup games and going to Wembley and having media access for an FA Cup final. I mean, it can't really get much better than that, can it?
Yeah, it certainly can't.
You're very good at selling yourself. Sorry, Max, you're very good at selling yourself. I'll give you that.
Yeah. So are you going to put me on the market £10?
BBC, sponsorship, FA Cup. Sorry, I've got a quick question for Max. I've got lots of questions for Max. But on an average match day, Nottingham Forest, how many selfies do you get asked to take with random members of the public? How many selfies?
It ranges from 7-8-year-old kids to 50-60-year-old men.
Broad appeal. That's what Mitre want. Mitre want the broad appeal. You hit the demographics.
No, for me, I probably on average, it's only about 2 or 3. Only about 2 or 3 a game, really. And I get the odd can I have a bit of like an interview or someone? I'll get someone like on the channel to do a score prediction or something like that. I've had to sign a few autographs, although I don't really like doing that. Autograph. I was never really a big fan of collecting footballers' autograph. I'd rather have a photo with them. don't really know about you. It's probably going off topic there, but I'd much rather have a photo with somebody famous than get their autograph.
Very humble, very humble.
Very humble. Yeah. Different times though. Different times.
I try to
mean,
be, Dan.
Yeah, well, different times. Like for me, back in my day, it wasn't really a case of get out the camera. It made me feel old. It was autographs.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get photos, which is a bit of a shame. But that's really cool. What would you say is the sort of the real standout experience? Would it be that FA Cup final access, or is it something else?
Definitely, probably up there as well was my first ever day of filming with the BBC. So that was quite an experience of just the experience of like stopping in a hotel in Media City and kind of waking up and knowing that not necessarily the pressure because it wasn't live and it was all kind of pre-recorded, but knowing that you were going to have maybe an earpiece in for the first time and like being kind of directors and producers telling you what to say and there being a bit of a script rather than with a lot of my stuff it's kind of as well as family members and friends helping me out sometimes it's a bit of a one-man band in terms of writing my own scripts whereas the scripts are wrote for me. So that was a big learning curve. That was a standout moment for me because I was kind of surreal. I had to step back, on days when we were filming and thinking, hang on a minute, I'm really doing this. And another one, like you said, the FA Cup final. Another one would probably be something like, this is a bit of a story. I went to Rochdale v Newcastle in the FA Cup. I don't know if you can remember it last season. There was quite a bit of an upset. Rochdale drew 1-1 with Newcastle to take it back for a replay, and it was obviously a lot of the time when fans were back in, and it was this time last year, so it was practically normal life really. And there was a lot of pressure on Steve Bruce, and there was calls from the Newcastle fans to get rid of Mike Ashley. And Steve, because when you go to a lower league football club, for example, I'm sure probably Alex will say this as well if they've ever had anyone kind of, I say big, I say with a decent profile. I'm sure Western have, and obviously that's no disrespect to you, Alex, but I'm just saying, like
we had Barry Fry the other day.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Yeah, that's all right. But for me, I think when I was at Rochdale Newcastle, Steve Bruce came out with his Newcastle media manager. He had a security guy with him basically, because obviously, and his media manager shouted to everybody. He was anchoring outside for an interview with him. He said no more interviews for Steve. He's doing one only. He's doing this one for TalkSport, and he's doing no more. So, a few people backed away, but there's still a few people hanging around and just listening to what he had to say. And one of those persons was me. And I can remember once he'd finished the interview, I suppose this is quite good with my height as well as last year when I was quite young. Is I basically kind of snuck under the barrier and I just went and approached Steve Bruce and said, I'm Max. I work for Mitre. Who? Mitre? I said Mitre, the guy who make the balls that you train with.
Everyone knows Mitre.
Exactly. that you play your beloved football on, Steve. No, I said, Steve. I said, look, I'm Max. I'm from Mitre, etc., etc. Is there any? I said, is there any chance I can speak to you? And he said, yeah, but only because you had the balls to ask. And that was that's what I always say to people when they ask for advice. I always say, look, I asked that, and Steve Bruce said that to me, and I guess his media manager couldn't really stop me then interviewing him, and I grabbed a 3-4 minute interview. But it's funny because everyone thinks that's planned. Everyone thinks that's been planned for a few weeks, but it wasn't. It was just I just think of I'd never planned to interview Steve Bruce that day. I just thought the questions off the top of my head. So that's definitely a standout moment, Danny.
There you go. Wow. So what advice off the back of that would you give to someone? What's the learning point from that experience?
You don't ask, you don't get. I'm deadly serious. As much as some people would say sometimes it's a bit rude to ask, but look, you have to be kind of not selfish in a way, but you have to think of yourself and think of what you could get out of asking for an opportunity. So for me, that's always what I kind of say, and also just to be unique, find something about your personality, or find something about your way that you interview somebody, and find how that comes across, and will people like it, and will you get a weekly following of people that watch it? which I think I've obviously built up on YouTube as well, and especially with my MITRE stuff as well, is expanding my YouTube channel massively in terms of views, because you're getting lots of neutral supporters and lots of supporters from, like I say, teams like Rochdale and Newcastle, teams that I've covered in the FA Cup that will watch my video. So no, definitely advice for young people is, and also just keep going. You know, if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. You know, what's the worst that can happen? Just keep going. And I'm sure probably Alex, you agree with me there in terms of TFF Talks, that we always kept going no matter how many views we got, and it was always about giving people opportunities as well and experience.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point of the blog. I mean, I was a 15-year-old kid. No one would give me any experience. So I thought, well, I'll just set my own blog up. And I'd like to think it's given you a platform, Max, and Josh and Danny and Liam, to a certain degree. You know, it's helped all of us really to learn skills or whatever. But what I would say, Max, is what I really agree with you with is what a good brand MITRE are. I just think they are incredible. And if you want to get us in touch, you know, as you said, if you don't ask, you don't get. If you want to get MITRE in touch, and you know, we can sort out some sort of deal, that'd be great. That's what I would agree with the most.
You can tell Alex wants a bit of advert. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
I was going to say, no, you're totally right, Alex. MITRE are a fantastic company to have worked
I agree.
for the past like 2 years or so it's been now, and that was all off the back of winning an FCA. They used to be called FBAs back then, but they're now called the Football Content Awards. So I won a football blogging award for the best young content creator blogger twice in a row, which again the second time for me was totally unexpected, because you don't expect to win things twice in a row unless you're Forest with the European Cup. Sorry. No, but for me, I think that my MITRE work came off the back of winning an award, and just generally off the back of putting 100% effort in it, and as much effort as I possibly could into videos and content I did for them. It's only tonight, actually, just before I came on here, I had a day at work, and then I came home and I recorded some interviews for the Football Content Awards. We were interviewing the winners of the award that I won kind of last year, that are announced on Tuesday, because it's all pre-recorded and via Zoom. So I did that just tonight, and it's good to do other podcasts as well. And I'm hosting a bit of like a quiz, I think, for MITRE on Sunday as well on their Instagram, which are quite successful. I mean, and in lockdown as well with MITRE, we got over. I did a video actually that the highest viewed video my dad starred in, and we got about 525,000 people watching that. That was in the middle of lockdown. We did a series of lockdown challenges.
There you go. Look at that.
Is your dad a little bit like what's he called? Old Fog Dad.
Fog Dad. No, he's nowhere near as that. He doesn't do the beer reviews. Oh, I tell you what, guys, we'll have to get Fogden on the podcast. In fact, I could. Well, I could actually ring him up now. I do have his number.
Oh, Max, pick the name up.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Drop.
good friends with them. I'm good friends with Theo, and he's really down to earth.
Theo, he's on first name terms.
No, so we should get him on the podcast. Actually, he'd be totally willing to do it.
If MITRE want to sponsor it, we'll get him on.
There we go. Listen, I just want to do a quick question in regards to, you was talking about when you was working with the BBC and that earpiece with you in a second, Max. And then following that, we're going to talk very briefly about, you know, what you've learned, what we've all learned as a panel from TFF. What's the lessons, and any sort of advice for anyone who's listening in, who's looking to get into blogging or get into doing some podcasting or starting a YouTube channel. Like, what, you know, think about what sort of advice we'd give those people. But Max, yeah, coming back to that question, having an earpiece in for the first time, how was that, and how did you deal with that?
Yeah, it was weird, to be honest with you. I mean, I've never really done it before. It wasn't necessarily the fact of having one in and practicing with it. It was also the case of just kind of, it was weird because you do a take and you'd almost feel, oh, hang on a minute, you've lost my camera, it's playing up again. Top quality recording software here for a pro. 2 seconds while I just unplug and plug it back in.
That's okay, no problem.
Or the computer might say, no, hang on, are we back on? There we are. We're back in the room. No, so going back to my point. No, it's difficult. But what I found the most difficult in terms of kind of the BBC filming was things like you do a piece of content or you do a bit to camera. You wouldn't be necessarily under pressure from it because you know you could do it again, but you'd feel in some way that you can't make yourself look silly. Not only because was going out live, kind of going to be going out on TV and social media platforms after, but also the fact of you've got like producers and people around you watching you that, you know, this is your chance to, I mean, it was my biggest chance to prove to people that I was worth it, you know, and maybe I could have stayed on for a career there, for example. You know, it's all about proving yourself, and it's a bit like that with MITRE as well. Is to prove yourself. I can remember the first kind of meeting I had with MITRE, where me and my dad, because I was 15 at the time, we went into their kind of head offices in Nottingham because they're based in Nottingham, funnily enough, and just weird. It's just weird, you know, because you feel that expectation and pressure on you when there's, you know, like 6 people in the room and you have to introduce them and socialize. But I always think I've been brought up in a way of socializing as well, which is thankful for kind of my parents as well for bringing me up in that way. And you know, I think going back to your point, Danny, is it was very weird kind of going from a single man kind of environment on YouTube and doing your own thing to then like working with a load of cameramen, producers and also other people as well, working with, you know, 2 other presenters type freestylers was quite an experience, and they were a year younger than me, but we got on so well. We just bounced off each other, and it was really good to see. And I'm still, you know, in really good friends and in contact with them to this day, really, as well.
Perfect. Okay, let's bring in Liam. Let's start with you, Liam. Any advice you would give to someone who wants to get into this side of the football industry? Any advice you'd give to someone starting out?
I would. It depends what you're interested in, but for the writing side, I'd say the best thing you can do is probably contact your non-league football club, because there'll be a non-league football club at a good level, 10, 20 miles away from you, wherever you live. It's up and down the country in any region. That's the best advice I'd give. I'd say keep getting at it, even if you keep getting knocked back. Keep applying for things. Set up your own blog, because then that gets your work out there. And maybe even dabble into like video editing and things like that, which is what I've done in the past as well. But I say that's the best advice I can give.
Brilliant. Love that. Alex?
I mean, I'm definitely nowhere near a authority on sort of to give advice out. I think I'm going to be looking for advice off as many people as possible come May, June, when I'm looking for a full-time job in industry. But I guess if I could give one thing that I've maybe picked up, it's just doing it over and over again, just practicing over and over again. Yeah, even now I'm winging what I do kind of 60-70% of the time because it's all so new. And I think TFF, the blog, it's just something you just pick up. You know, you pick up these skills, how to fill time, how to write blogs, how to operate the WordPress side, how to get around certain image problems, and you know, sort of sourcing pictures and you know, things like that. You just pick it up as you go along. So, you know, I don't think you always need to kind of sit down and try and learn something. I think just doing things is probably actually the best way to learn. But any other advice, please let me know, because I'm going to need it come May and June. Look, I might have to come to Max for a job by the sounds of it, because I think he's probably got enough cash to go around. But you know, what I've heard, MITRE are paying him.
Unfortunately, Alex, I don't think I'd be able to keep Max's running costs if I employed another person to work for us.
Oh, that's my
better luck next.
Are you having to file tax returns, Max? Are you having to file tax returns at 16?
I had to when I first worked for the BBC. Yeah, I got taxed. I had to send one back. Yeah, it was an experience. It was an experience talking to HMRC during lockdown, and I was on like an online chat, and you know, on the said, "Where do you work for, and what's your company address?" Yeah, I had to say, the CBBC, Media City. You know, it was a bit of an experience.
Match Day with Max Limited.
Yeah, Match Day with Max Limited. There you go.
There you go. There you go.
Invoice me.
Go on in, Josh. Let's hear from you. Let's hear your thoughts as well.
I think Max hit the nail on the head when the best thing you can do is like be proactive, go and do it. like this blog, sometimes like, if 10 views, sometimes they get over 100. It doesn't matter how many times your work gets viewed. Start off, even if it's just WordPress or
Oh, I think we're.
then likely.
Go on, Josh. Go on, Josh. You can do it.
Am I back?
You're back.
I'm back. Right. So yeah, be proactive. Start writing, even if it's under your own name. Just go and do it. Doesn't matter how many views you get. It's all in the experience. And you know what? Even if it is just a vlog.
There you go.
I think we got that. I mean, look, it wouldn't be TFF Talks without technical issues, would it?
No, it wouldn't, would it, Danny? I mean, we've had cameras going off a lot.
We're staying true. We're staying true to the cause. That's okay. So, Max, then, any other words of wisdom you'd give to someone who maybe wants to do a similar kind of line of work as what you've done so far?
Just again, be unique. Ask questions. You know, like I think Alex was right there about kind of learning on the job as well. That it's interesting that you said that you go to uni and you feel like you were learning maybe in the first year what you were doing with the blog when you were 15, Alex and Josh. For me, I definitely think that as I'm at college now doing kind of media and journalism, and I'm learning a lot that I kind of a little bit that I already know. So I suppose I'm a little bit ahead of the game. And my biggest advice would be start early, because you know a lot of people will say, "Oh, you know, do you think starting early maybe is a bad thing because you'll have a lot of opportunities and then nothing will come?" No, I really don't think it is. Honestly, start early. The earlier you start, the more people the more contacts you'll make, the more recognition you'll get, and the more kind of just overall proactive you'll become. You know, you'll become a person that has those kind of, because I experienced setbacks and things at the age of 13 and 14 when I was doing this. So I learned that quite easy, whereas maybe some people that go and do a university course will only learn setbacks when they're 20, 21 and might find that, you know, more difficult. So start early is my biggest advice, Danny. I don't know what really you'd say is your advice, Danny, really.
Make mistakes. I think that's been the key. I mean, even tonight I've marked down a couple of times I've made mistakes. So, and for stuff for me to edit out. So, I think just making those mistakes as long as you learn from those, then that's brilliant, and that's what you need to do. It's all about developing. And yeah, I'm nowhere near what I wanted to achieve. And I still have a long way to go in that, whether that's coaching or media. And yeah, every day's a lesson. Everyone's a lesson. So just got to learn from it. Okay, so let's move on now. Let's talk about some football, if that's okay with you guys. We are going to talk about our teams, and controversially, we're going to start off with Alex, and we're going to talk about Norwich City, the mighty Norwich City.
I think we've got to talk about this together, Dan. I think we're in this together, I think, with Norwich. But to be fair, even though I'm saying it sarcastically, top of the league, which I'm quite shocked about. I don't know about you, mate, but I'm quite surprised of where we are.
I'm very surprised. All the injury problems, all the suspension issues with Buendia. At the time of recording, obviously.
Selling players as well, you know, we've had to sell some really good players. Ben Godfrey, Jamal Lewis, you know, we kind of sold these players, we've cashed in. But I think Stuart Webber is just a god amongst men in terms of finding, especially at championship level, finding the right players to fit the right system at the right price, who fit the culture of the club, who don't cost much. That's so difficult to find that level of combination. And I listened to a podcast that Jack Reeve, who I think does a great job with Talk Norwich City. I think it might have been him, or it might have been the Eastern Daily Press. It was one of them.
Jack's great,
Webber, do you know him as well? Do you?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Well, tell him I said hi. I think he's pretty good.
But I'll just drop him a WhatsApp now, shall I, for you?
Yeah, try and get him on.
I think he'd be great, actually. But he was saying how Stuart Webber, he looks at, so Timu Pukki, for example, he scores more goals from a certain type of chance. And they looked at Emi Buendia, and he sets up that certain kind of chance more than any other player in that sort of price weight, in that sort of price range. So once you kind of match those two players together, ones that score that type of chance and want to create that type of chance, you've got a really dynamic kind of duo, and that's the amount of depth I think Championship clubs like Norwich, who are self-sustaining, need to go into to get results. And I'm really glad actually that that's all, like it did 2 seasons ago, that formula is really starting to come back.
Yeah, and just to add with that as well, like, you know, one player I've really seen over the last couple of weeks, may have not been a new signing, but Tim Krul, how important has he been? You know, what an incredible player he is.
He's just fantastic, isn't
he? I was listening to Canary Call the other day.
I miss Canary Call. I can't get Canary Call in Bristol. I try. Can you record it for me and send it?
Oh, you can get it. You can get it online. You should be able to get
BBC
it.
Sounds.
I tried, and it geo-blocks me. It geo-blocks me out.
Oh, that's odd. That's odd.
Because I'm in Bristol. You have to record it for me. I miss that thick Norfolk accent.
You should be able to get it on as a podcast.
Really?
I'm pretty sure they spit it out. Yeah.
You have to send me a link because I miss hearing the accent. You know, people. There's no better joy in life than listening to Canary Call, I don't think.
But yeah, I was listening to that, and you know, they were saying Tim Krul best goalkeeper in the league, and you know what? I have to kind of agree.
Yeah, I think we do.
Talking of Championship, let's bring in Max in. Max, let's talk about Forest.
God. Forest. Where do you want to start? No, last season was just a disaster. We do so well under a manager that no one's ever heard of, Sabri Lamucci. You know, we leave it to the last game because for some reason he fields 2 bad teams and tries to play for a 0-0 draw instead of just going for the win and securing the playoffs. Then we get to Stoke and Stoke just wipe the floor with us. Reading just let Swansea score 6 goals. Forest, you know, the trouble is, I mean, I think it was one of the craziest things that anyone's seen. I can remember Chris Kamara was down at the City Ground doing it for Sky Sports for Gillette Soccer Special. I don't know him, Alex, before you ask.
It wouldn't have shocked me, Max.
Good to get him on.
It wouldn't have shocked me.
But he's, you know, he said how the odds were more in Forest's favour. You know, it was harder for Forest to throw it away. You know, it was just ridiculous. It was just crazy that it happened that way. I'm just glad that I didn't go to that game. I'm glad that I wasn't involved and around it at the club in the summer and those times, because it just couldn't have been a nice atmosphere at all. Moving on to this season, though, we start off pretty poor. We're with Derby, bottom of the league. Lamucci gets the sack. We bring Chris Hughton in. We've got a great squad. We've got the likes of Harry Arter, Luke Freeman, Lyle Taylor, Lewis Grabban. These are players, Jack Colback, I'm reading out now, that everybody's heard of and everybody's thinking on paper should be 3rd, 4th in the league, just a bit behind Norwich. It's not the case. Just Hughton's coming. You know, it wasn't going to be success overnight. He wasn't going to click his fingers. Don't get me wrong, but there hasn't really been a lot of improvement. You know, we've lost 2 on the bounce now. I guess we won 2 on the bounce before, but that's just Forest form. Win 2, lose 2, and go on an awful run. There's a lot of shouts for is there behind the scenes issues. I don't think so. I think a lot of Forest fans are already maybe even calling the owners back. I think we have to be careful what we wish for, because when we did that last time, we ended up with a Q80 power-hungry owner that ran the football club into the ground, really. I mean, I've never seen a football club ran so bad as that before. Although saying that, I suppose there's plenty worse than Forest, actually. But no, in terms of this season, you know, we've got to find a solution to our recipe of disaster so far, really, and fingers crossed get back, and hopefully Chris Hughton will be the man. But again, his time's limited. If he doesn't turn it around by like, I'd say New Year, again, the owners could pull the trigger.
Yeah, and just in terms of Chris Hughton, have you noticed a style of play, a different style of play? Because I know Alex will agree with me. You know, as much as he's a really nice guy and you know he's a decent manager, his style of play at Norwich, he basically turned an offensive team into a very defensive team.
Yeah,
It was not fun.
It's quite defensive, but Forest don't have any decent central defended midfielders. So we're struggling with being a defensive team. We seem to let goals in and we can't score. Whereas maybe it should be the other way around. I honestly don't know. I hope that we see an improvement as well. But in terms of a real change of kind of football, really, it's better than Lamucci's. Don't get me wrong, and there's been much brighter spells, but it's nowhere near where it needs to be for a championship level or at least a playoff chasing team. And even Chris Hughton's admitted that in post-match interviews and press conferences.
There we go. So we'll have to watch with eagle eyes to see if you guys turn it around.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed for us all in the championship. Let's move up to the Prem. And Josh, let's talk to us about West Ham. Wow, so many memories of us talking about West Ham over the TFF Talks days. So what's changed for you?
Wow. Well, I like David Moyes now. That's changed.
Wow.
That's definitely changed. I mean, fair play to him. When it was announced that he was coming back in, I was in a similar position to now. Head was in hands. I was thought, we're done. This is it. Premier League's gone. We're getting relegated. And in all fairness to myself, I think the best thing that happened was lockdown. I think had lockdown not happened, West Ham were gone. We come back. Mikel Antonio is like R9 Ronaldo. And Moyes has just totally reinvented himself. I mean, the last spell he had at the club, he was signing 37-year-old Patrice Evra, Samir Nasri, two free agents that, I mean, were costing the club a lot of money per week. And now signings like Jared Bowen, Thomas Souček, Vladimir Kufal. It's been brilliant. It's been really, 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 really good. And yeah, we've been really good this season. And in fairness, we've played the hardest sort of teams in the league we could have done. I saw a table put together the other day, and it was calculated by some, I don't know, some sport geek. Basically putting together the toughest sort of like a scale of the toughest teams you can play, and we have played like the hardest teams we can. So it would just be a West Ham thing to do. We now started well. We play the easy teams and slowly fade away.
Yeah, that does sound like a West Ham and a Norwich thing, to be fair. It's definitely a Norwich thing as well.
Yeah.
But in terms of West Ham and how things are sort of changing, you mentioned Antonio, a quality player, Antonio. What would you say has really changed in him since that initial lockdown?
I think the thing with Mikel Antonio is that on technical ability, he's probably one of the worst footballers I've ever seen.
Really?
But
I loved him at Forest.
No, I love the man. He's a legend. I love it. He's a brilliant footballer. On technical ability, he's not a good player. The pace, the power, the heading, his positioning is so good, and that's why he's a really good player. If he had technical ability, he'd be playing for Barcelona. He hasn't. That's why he's at West Ham. And do you know what? He's been so good for us. He's probably the best buy I've seen for us in the last decade. Obviously coming from Max's team. He's been brilliant for us. Steps up in big games. Moyes actually is probably a big part of the reason why he's been such a good striker. If you cast your mind back to the last time Moyes come to Marko Arnautovic, obviously was a winger. And look what happened to him. He was put inside, played up front, and made a name for himself and got a big money move to China. And exactly the same with Mikel Antonio. He's got every thing he needs to be a good striker, and he does it so well. He's the first name on the team sheet every week for me. He's absolutely brilliant. But if he just has a bit more technical ability, he definitely wouldn't be with us.
Lastly on this, Josh, before your connection loses it. But the Lanzini goal, the Lanzini equaliser against Tottenham.
Wow.
Yeah, incredible.
Oh yeah, I can remember watching
Talk
it.
to us about that. Where was you? What was you doing?
I was in my kitchen. Luckily, we got a telly in there. I obviously watched the start of the game with my friends. All of my friends know how much I dislike Tottenham Hotspur. So we all sort of collectively got together and watched it because they all thought we'd get spanked, which we did, in fairness. 3-0. At that point, I was like, right, I'm going to make dinner. I've had enough of that.
Was that Tottenham being really, really good or West Ham being poor?
Yeah, no, I don't think we've done anything wrong. I mean, I think actually 2 of the goals were probably mistakes on our part, but we wasn't that bad. I think Tottenham just blew us away, and I don't like Tottenham, but you have to hold your hands up. They're one of the best teams in the league, and they play really good football. And Harry Kane is, well, for me anyway, the reason for that. He's absolutely superb, and for me, one of the best players in the world at this current moment in time. Definitely in the top 3. Yeah, I don't know whether you lot are a big believer or admiring XG, but that Lanzini goal had a 0.01 XG, which basically means you have that shot 100 times in once.
Yeah.
That's how good that goal is. Wow.
Look, I'm joking.
Yeah.
I'm
good.
joking. Maybe a little bit of luck, but I can remember watching that. And
Oh, it's so lucky. It's so lucky.
I
In fairness,
was going to say, yeah.
Lanzini, since he picked up that injury playing for Argentina, has been, and it's not his fault, but he's been dreadful. He's picked up one of the biggest injuries you can get in football, and it's ruined him as a player. This season, he's starting to get a little bit more back to his old self, and if that fell to Lanzini last season, I don't think he even shoots. I don't think he has the confidence to shoot. This season, he's sort of transforming himself back. And in fairness, I'd have loved Emi Buendia from Norwich. I'm a massive, massive fan. Like, with all due respect, he's way too good to be playing in the Championship. Way too good. Way too good.
I think sorry, just quickly going back to that Lanzini goal. I think that's one of the goals. Obviously, I don't have any sort of, I don't support West Ham or Tottenham, but it's one of those goals where, regardless of who you support,
I jumped up.
Unless it's West Ham, obviously. Unless it's Spurs, sorry. You celebrate that goal like it's your own team. I
agree.
Nuts.
Yeah.
It's one of those goals where, unless you're a Spurs fan, you go nuts. Because it was so
mental.
Unbelievable. And even the run of the game. But as soon as they got the second goal, you thought this is going to happen here. But you could never predict in that fashion. Just an incredible goal. And also, hands off Buendia.
The commentary of it.
Agreed.
The commentary of it also on Sky Sports was, I mean, the commentator's voice. It was worse than mine when I was, 6 months ago. It was worse than my voice in terms of the amount of screaming that this commentator did. So it was fantastic. And listen to the foreign commentary of it as well. Go, let go. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. It's class. It really is.
It was a crazy game when you think about it, because I saw the first goal go in, or as in you guys getting that first goal back to make it 3-1. I was like, yeah, it might happen, it might not. Like, it was very sort of against the run of play.
My reaction when the first goal went in, because obviously Balbuena scored, I went, not good enough. You give the first goal while you're at full. So I was like, it's too late. You ruined the game. Don't bother now.
Yeah, and then that second one goes in. Yeah.
Hold on. We can't, can we? Bear in mind, we scored our first goal in the 82nd minute. How ridiculous is that? And then, in fairness, we didn't even play well to get the second goal. But then, as soon as the second goal goes in, throw everything at them. And I'm not being disrespectful when I say it. Like, I don't like to. I admire Tottenham because they're a really good team, but I don't like Tottenham. But it's, as Giorgio Chiellini once said, it's the history of the Tottenham. They famously crumble. They're not a very good side in terms of holding out, and it genuinely is a thing. Like, it's not just a cliche. it massively team happen.
Yeah, it's certainly a psychological thing, isn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, let's bring in Liam now. Liam, with a combination of Alex here, and Alex, feel free to jump in anytime you want to. But let's talk about Western then. How's your season going? And yeah, what's the bigger picture looking like for you for the rest of the season?
I'll put it into a bigger picture for you. It's been a bit of a mix of emotions over the last 18 months or so. In 2019, we got relegated for the first time in our history, which obviously no club wants to go through. All our squad left, apart from about 4 or 5 players. Brought in a new manager, assistant manager, new coaching staff, all of it. And then the first half of last season, it didn't go to plan. We were in the lower ends of the table, mid-table. In December, we started kicking on. I think we won about 7 or 8 out of 10 from that. And then lockdown obviously hit, the first lockdown. Our season ended. Then came back in August for pre-season. September, the season started. It's been not again, really. We're 15th in the table, one win and 6. And we had an FA Cup run, which we got to the 4th qualifying round, lost to Eastleigh 3-1. Obviously, it's a strange experience being there behind closed doors at some games. That's summing up the last 18 months. Alex, anything fine?
Yeah, and I think I can give a bit more of a bigger picture here, where sort of off the pitch, we're lucky where we're in good shape off the pitch. Sort of apart from the first team, we have a fantastic academy set up. Sort of 3 really great sort of league coaches there, a women's team as well. Even from a community point of view, we have a great walking football team. They win stuff all around the country. They've won so many different kinds of tournaments. So maybe in 30 years' time, guys, we can maybe set up a TFF walking football team.
I like it.
Exactly. So from a bigger picture point of view as well, we're in good shape off the pitch as well. And I think it's just a matter of time until the fruits of our labour will start to show on the pitch. So we're just waiting for that point where things are going to kick into gear, but it will happen at some point. We're all we're definitely ready for that.
You missed out what happened to Western Supermare at that time.
What, the time you did an interview?
Yeah, the time that I come and covered a game.
I'd say. What was the score that day? Do you remember?
I think Western won.
There you go.
Yeah.
Lucky charm.
Yeah.
It was a game after we went down. So yeah, too little, too late.
Yeah, it wasn't. But nonetheless.
Liam can always put a positive spin on things. That's the purple Liam.
But just in terms of that, anyway, and this is why you two are probably the best place to start in terms of non-league, and obviously COVID. Do you see it having a big effect on maybe not so much Western, because it sounds like you guys are in a good shape, but the other teams around you in your league? Like, is there going to be serious repercussions?
Yeah, definitely. We're in a good position where we're so lucky where the stadium's ours. A lot of teams, they just rent their stadium, so the only income they've got is match day income. A lot of these teams who rent stadiums for the day don't even get the bar takings. They just purely get gate. We're lucky we have a great gym on site, a fantastic 3G, so we have multiple income streams coming in. So we're not just reliant on the first team, which is a very fortunate position to be in, but a position that the board and the rest of the club have worked really hard to achieve. That doesn't just happen overnight. So we're lucky we're in a good position, but it definitely won't be the same for other clubs. If you're just relying on your gate receipts, it must be so difficult to build a sustainable business model. And so we're very lucky to be where we are, and it's such an unfortunate situation. And from my point of view, I'm just keeping my fingers crossed as many teams can kind of ride this really difficult wave as possible.
Yeah, and Liam, anything you want to add on that?
Yeah, definitely. There's obviously a few teams already that have had to pull out of leagues up around the country. I think in our league there was one team who took one to relegation down to the ninth tier, Crowther and Langley. Then there was Merthyr Town in the who are based in Wales. Obviously, when the team started, they had to pull out because they couldn't travel across the border to play any England teams. That hit them. And then in terms of actually finishing our season, it's going to be hard for a lot of teams with scheduling things like that because when the league restarts on the 12th of December, you've got to play 32, 33 games in 5 months, which isn't ideal considering you've now got to take into account COVID. We're now in that period where games get called off left, right, and centre through water pitches, things like that. So a lot of teams are in a difficult position, but luckily for Western, we're one of the lucky ones where we know that we're safe to go forward.
Yeah, and fingers crossed things change as a whole, really, for non-league football. A bit more of a positive outlook would be good for non-league football. Moving up now, let's go back to, we're going to go with Josh first, then Max. Obviously, we're still staying on this COVID impact, but do you see it having much of an impact on your club? Obviously, Josh, you're a West Ham fan, so complete other end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So do you see it having any sort of impact? And then I guess really for you and Max, it's the immediate supposed return of football fans potentially coming back very, very soon. Do you see that being a positive, and do you see it being successful? I guess.
I don't think we're really impacted, if you want me to be honest. The fans coming back in is brilliant. I think the timing's a little bit off though. But the thing I can't get my head around is that 2,000 fans are allowed in, which is sort of like the benchmark, whether you're West Ham or Western-super-Mare. So, I don't see how it shouldn't be in correlation to the capacity of the stadium is. I think that's something that football and the government, they need to work together and figure out where they go with that, because how can you have 2,000 fans in a 60,000 seat stadium at the London Stadium when in League Two you've got Salford who can hold 8,000 and they can also have 2,000? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and how sustainable it is, I guess, for the clubs as well.
Yeah, exactly. Not be funny. Is it worth West Ham opening the stadium up to 2,000 people, because they could have so many more? So it's new for everyone. People are going to make mistakes. Everyone in this thing has made mistakes. So even football clubs opening back up again, we're going to make mistakes. Everything's so new. We've never had to deal with anything like this ever before, and I think this is a mistake, to be honest. The 2,000 limit.
Yeah, I can see Alex has got some words.
Yeah, I was just going to say, at least you'll be able to socially distance from your own players anyway. I mean, you can barely see them as it is if you sit in certain parts of the London Stadium. So I think West Ham's ground is pretty well equipped, I think, to be social distance. So, I think if anyone in the crowd's got COVID, all the players are going to be safe. So I think West Ham were well ahead of the curve on that one. So, I think
well done, Karen Brady.
Fair play to Karen Brady. Fantastic work.
Brilliant. And Max, let's talk about Forest then.
Boris,
what impact do you think? Yeah, what impact COVID-wise do you think it'll have on Forest?
It's difficult to say. Knowing people inside the club, it's been quite hard to see people. I know a few people have lost their jobs or been kind of made redundant from it, which is a real shame when sometimes you have to ask the question that someone who's in the media team or like a marketing team has been made redundant, but then yet a player's sat on like 40 grand a week. And, it's just football always makes me question that and just question general how is that allowed, but how does that work? But in terms of Forest, is that we're a club that was, like I said earlier, was driven to the ground a few years ago, and it's only the Greeks that are investing money into it. They're 100% losing money, and they're going to lose a lot because we don't have fans in. Fans are a vital part, and not only for Forest, but for businesses around. I know plenty of businesses like the local cafe that is just up the road from the Peter Taylor stand at Forest, the main stand. I mean, that is like literally hanging by the thread because of it makes a killing from matchday revenue because they do like a cob and a pint or a cob and a coffee before and after the game, and it's just so busy.
It's a cob.
A cob, it's the Nottingham word. It's basically just as I don't know what people in Bristol call it, Alex.
Probably not a cob. Do you mean a roll?
A roll. It's not a roll. It's a cob.
I've got housemates who are from Birmingham and Coventry, and they always sort of refer to it as a cob, I think. So
yeah,
I
think it's a bit of a Midlands thing. Although people near where I live are more like it's a bap, a sausage bap.
No, yeah, I'd say a sausage bap,
Yeah,
but I'd say like a ham roll. But
if
I
you
feel like that is sort of semi-acceptable, but it's a roll.
but
it's a roll.
Yeah.
if you kind of say them out loud, so if you put sausage roll, see like because if you're saying like a sausage roll, then
A sausage roll's a sausage roll.
well, I was going to say people who think a sausage roll,
Yeah.
meaning like sausage roll instead of maybe like sausages in like a cob. Sorry, sausage bap, sausage sandwich.
It's not a sandwich. A sandwich is a sandwich.
Sandwich cob then, because like a cob is just a search cob and it'll come on the internet. Like it's a debate for the other time. We could probably talk about it.
What a TFF Talks topic this is.
Exactly.
We're back to
What
the
do you
old
call-
days. This is
what do
how
you
we
call-
like it.
Brilliant.
No, Danny, but going back to your point, I totally agree with Josh about his things that he said about West Ham as well, and that it's a lot, obviously, as well, in my opinion, it's a lot tougher for the non-league clubs, and I can only see it getting worse, unfortunately, especially, teams like around my local town team is in like the Midlands 1st to 4th division, I think, and yeah, they are not doing well at all in terms of, because they do pay players, but they're making hardly any. Also saying that they were allowed fans in like 100 odd. I mean, that was all they got anyway, but they're still struggling because they don't get that revenue sometimes and go on those FA Cup runs and get TV and things.
Yeah. So we'll have to cross our fingers. We'll have to cross our fingers that things change.
Definitely.
Just in terms of, obviously I'm wary of our time, and thank you for giving up your time this evening.
I'm a celebs on in 5 minutes. Hurry up, Danny.
Yeah. So very quickly, I just want to touch on the sad news that obviously we lost Diego Maradona. What a year this year's been, eh? That we've lost probably one of the footballing greats. So I don't know if you guys have got any thoughts or any words you want to share about any footage you've maybe seen of Maradona. I've seen maybe little clips, obviously the famous hand of God, and his stunning goal against England as well. Yeah, Josh, have you got anything that you'd like to share in terms of Maradona and that loss?
We had a guest speaker session at uni with Terry Butcher, who obviously conceded the he was not happy. He really held a grudge. He spoke really in detail about what happened that day, and he after the game and said, and Maradona looked at him and he said no. And Terry Butcher said, had I been told that he had, I'd have killed him. I genuinely would have killed him. Those were his words. He was really, really upset about that. But what a footballer! He remembered the one moment, but wow, what a footballer!
Yeah, Terry Butcher, funnily enough, this is a really interesting one. He actually, strangely enough, used to go to my school. Obviously not when I was there. But I think a good couple of decades before the school currently is. But that was quite interesting, actually.
Also, he was also down Western Football Club the other day coaching Ipswich.
Oh, there we go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is someone Max doesn't know. This is the first. We've all got connections apart from Max.
We'll have to get him on the podcast. I'm sure we can angle that one somehow.
Get him on the phone, Max.
I'll try.
Have him and Fogdad.
That'd be good.
That would be class.
So, Max, give us your thoughts. Maradona, sad passing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was just, I kind of saw some reports on Twitter, but then I kind of saw it was confirmed by, different reliable sources. Just sums up 2020, really. Just a shocking year. Losing one of the greatest, probably, if not the best ever footballer that will touch the world, that will touch the game. In my opinion, from video clips I've seen of him, as much as, gone, but he'll never be forgiven for the hand of God. I mean, what a player. And he was very clever. I mean, I watched kind of an interview that Peter Shilton did with Sky Sports earlier today, and he said that Maradona was very clever because he would use his hand, but then he flicked his head so it looked like he headed it when he obviously didn't. He was very clever, but I don't think he helped himself in terms of the controversy. I just don't think, he is such a class player, and people will always remember the hand of God. But you've also got to remember him for his completely you just look back at highlights and you. I remember I searched his name last night after the sad passing just because I wanted to watch it and watch some key highlights. And I mean, what a man. What a man. Just such a shame that 2020 has got even worse. And obviously, we've lost a true sporting icon, really. Sporting legend.
Yeah. And quick word or two from Alex and Liam.
Yeah, I think those two guys have pretty much covered it. Just what an incredible footballer. I think it's as simple as that. And I think as well, you're right. It does encapsulate 2020. I think pretty well.
Yeah. And Liam.
Yeah, I think everyone else said it. What I was going to say, really, obviously he's going to be remembered for that controversial hand the God goal and the goal against England, but, he was a genius of a player, wasn't he? The way he just ran with the ball on worse pitches than what they play on now. He get kicked all the time. It's a genius. Watching him is like watching Lionel Messi now when he goes on a run. They're now the same player, really, Maradona and Messi.
Yeah. And that sadly brings us to the end of today's show. Thank you very much, everyone. Really great to see you all. My word, it's been a long time. That was awesome. Before we finish anyway, let's go and share any social medias. Should anyone want to follow us on social media. Alex, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I'm Alex Crowther6 on Twitter. And Dan, thanks for setting this all up, mate. It's been a bit of a nostalgia trip, I think, on the last few days getting this going. So thank you to you for setting up, and thanks to you guys for coming back on. It's been nice to do this again after a few years. It's been really good fun.
No problem, boss.
Yeah, no problem,
man with the brains behind the scenes.
Yeah. Thank you very much, everyone. I really appreciate it.
Brilliant. Josh, how can anyone follow you?
At KW Sports on Twitter.
Perfect. Thank you, Josh. Max?
You can follow me if you want, Max D. Hayes, but I will designate my slot to Alex. To Alex, so he can get a few more followers on Twitter if you want. Alex and Drury can have my follows.
He's too big time to even plug himself now. That's how the tables have turned. I gave him his first chance, and now he's taking pity on me. Like, that's how things have changed. Things have changed.
And Liam?
My Twitter is @LiamDrury4.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Liam. And mine, should you wish to follow me, although probably like Alex, I'll be tweeting or retweeting lots of Norwich stuff. Hopefully a Norwich Championship champions this year, fingers crossed. Will be at Danny Cook 1996. facts.
Well, let's be honest.
Still
No
that
one's going to listen to this
famous
anyway, so
Exactly.
it doesn't matter.
It
No
doesn't
one's going to
matter.
listen anyway.
Doesn't matter.
Apart from Max's fan base, no one's going to listen. So it's fine. Apart from Fogden
Relying
and
on
that's it. No one else.
Right, time for I'm a Celeb.
Until next time, yeah, let's go and watch I'm a Celeb. Thank you very much, everyone, for
Thanks,
watching.
everyone.
Guys.
Much for your time.
Bye.
Thanks, Mita.
Um,